also had a word with the activist Sushil Pandit on this action that has now been initiated by the Delhi Lieutenant Governor.
Sushil Pandit, there are many who are questioning why has it taken 14 years for this case to be finally, receive prosecution sanction? Is the timing political? Is the question that is being made?
Madhav, I can't speculate on this issue. The question should be answered by those who sat on these files and decided to pull them out now for action. In fact, there should be an inquiry on this also, and heads should roll as to why this was held back for so long. They should also face consequences for impeding the, as they say, the course of the law that it should have taken in the last 14 years. Now, be that as it may, 14 years ago, when this travesty took place, when openly in the heart of our capital, a call for destruction of Indian Union as a colonial state, as an occupying state, as a state that had subjugated people in Tamil Nadu, in Punjab, in Northeast, in Kashmir, had no business to survive. When such statements were made, when call to arms rang out from the podium, repeatedly by Syed Ali Shah Gilani, by Varavara Rao, by Arundhati Roy, when these things happened, the then Home Minister was trailed by the reporters, the journalists, as to what action he proposed to take. After 1 week of dodging them and ducking, he finally said, taking no action is also an action. It is then that I thought, as a private citizen, I should move the court, I should move the police and seek some action against this. Now, if from the very top you have this mindset, none other than Chidambaram, the Home Minister, says so publicly, pompously, then there is something absolutely rotten in the state of Denmark.
Right. Mr. Pandit, I must also ask you.
Because when the government changed, for 10 years we had a different government, a different prime minister, a different home minister, a different party altogether. A party of muscular patriotism. What did they do on this case? Except sitting on it and not doing anything. I had given up all hope. I hope now the path of law will not be impeded and it will be allowed to take its course, as they generally are fond of saying. Yes, you were asking something, Madhav.
Yes. There are several questions that arise from this. Of course, even freedom of speech has its own reasonable restrictions that we were discussing. But there are those who are questioning whether this is a reaction to what the Supreme Court has said vis-a-vis sedition and, the restrictions as far as sedition case that have come in from the Supreme Court. Is this an alternative legal path to go ahead and prosecute Arundhati Roy that is being looked at? Is a question that some of our legal panelists have observed. How would you respond to this?
See, though it is the insistence of a lot of people that sedition as a law is outdated and colonial, none other than Supreme Court itself had defined the basis on which sedition could be invoked. And it was Supreme Court in independent India. And this case meets all those conditions because call to violence was unambiguously made. And dismemberment of the country was called for. Also it led to breach of peace. Police had to take up protesters, detain them in the police station in order to avoid breach of peace. So every condition that is prerequisite for invoking the law of sedition existed. Now, if Supreme Court decides to amend its own view few years later, it is their prerogative. But laws are something that our parliament makes, our elected representatives make, and Supreme Court is only there to interpret them, not to make their own laws. I think it is the duty of elected representatives to uphold the integrity of the country, no matter who violates it. No matter who violates, it is equal for everyone. And therefore, they must face the consequences of their action, even if 14 years later.